I know you feel me. That's our shit. I'm gang.
Yo, it's the Swanglin Show, episode 12. It's your host, Joshua P. Dunn. Today, the P is for Powerbomb, because we're talking about WrestleMania 35. Full recap, Swangle-mania, if you will. In the building with me today, I got my special visitor, co-host, field correspondent, if you will. I got the man, Tommy Cash. Tommy Hall's in the building. What's up, bro?
Yeah. Check out the boots. First name Tommy, last name Cash.
Madness, running wild, WrestleMania weekend. We're going to go through and we're going to start at the top, right? And we're going to run through the list of the show, the Clash of the Immortals, WrestleMania 35. Went down New York at the New York Giants Stadium, MetLife. Smacked the building out, 80,000 people. What do you think about that drama?
I think it was a great turnout by the wrestling community, especially over the weekend for all the other shows going on. I mean, shit, ROH and New Japan ran the Garden, which
never done before.
yeah, I could have. How crazy was that? But yeah, you go back to WrestleMania. I mean, they ran that same show, WrestleMania 29. Did a huge numbers for the city. Not as much planning for the after show this year as WrestleMania kind of was a marathon, if you will, because it was about 12:30 at night.
Yeah, 7.5 hours or something like that.
So you had some folks worrying about when they can get the train home rather than whether Rondo's going to keep the championship, but that's neither here nor there. I thought it was, other than the length, I thought it was a great WrestleMania.
I thought it was really good too. We're going to jump in. The first match on the card, on the pre-show, Cruiserweight Championship match. Tony Nese beats Buddy Murphy for the strap. What did you think about that match?
I love Tony Nese. He's a New York guy, and he's, pals around with Tommy Dreamer, those type of guys, and for him to be able to finally get his shot on the main stage at WrestleMania, come away with the championship against a great competitive match against Buddy Murphy. The only drawback to it was in front of 13 people. I mean, they're still getting people into the building, so I mean, you got to have the cruiserweights on TV or showcase for anybody to care. And I think, with this kickoff, repeatedly putting the cruiserweights on first, I mean, you get a little bit burned out by it, but congrats to Tony Nese. He's a hard-working guy. Buddy Murphy, I thought it was more funny his post-match. Little dig with Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, that was funny. You got to check that out on the internet.
Yeah, Velveteen Dream. I mean, he and Matt Riddle, they knocked it out of the park at Friday night at TakeOver. But, Velveteen Dream caught Buddy Murphy coming in after the match, and he was like, this is Buddy Murphy, had the selfie video recording, and was like, this man that couldn't handle the spotlight at WrestleMania weekend.
Where's your title at, son?
Yeah, you saw the Aviators, too, and Velveteen Dream, Buddy Murphy just stops in his tracks like, what? What did this fucking dude say? Or what did this guy say to me?
I think you made a valid point, though, about the putting them on the pre-show, kind of belittling the match a little bit, because they had an issue a couple years ago as well, where they did the same thing at WrestleMania for Austin Aries versus Neville, which was one of the best matches on the card, and then it kind of just, even though it was great, it kind of got the life sucked out of it a little bit because nobody was there to watch it really.
Absolutely. Same thing with the, 205 Live, they once presented it as the most non-stop hour of wrestling that you can find. And it's like, well, nobody's watching it, so where can I find it? I actually enjoyed when Raw was kind of featuring the cruiserweights. Like,
yeah, me too.
The thing runs 3 hours long, and you're trying to fill time. Like, why not feature the cruiserweights, especially on Monday Night Raw? But again,
I've been liking it that they'll at least use the Lucha House Party. They'll feature them on Raw a little bit here and open it up now that Ricochet is kind of bouncing around on the show a little bit. Kind of opens it up a little bit, and you get to see a little more.
I tell you, a lot of these guys are being wasted in the cruiserweight division or whatnot that aren't being really seen. Like Drew Gulak, I think he's very talented. Jack Gallagher, I think that guy's phenomenal, but nobody's featuring him. He may be being featured on the Cruiserweight show or 205 Live, but I'm not really watching.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people aren't really watching. Now, speaking of really watching, okay, they bust right it from that match, and they go into the Battle Royal sector, and they have like the female version of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but it's still untitled. I don't know. I think I saw some things rumored that they're eventually going to name this Battle Royal after China, which if they do, I think that's fucking cool. They probably should do that. You know what I'm saying? But I believe this is the second year now that they've had the Women's Battle Royal on the show.
I think, I kind of draw a lot of sentiments from Jim Ross, who says that WrestleMania these days kind of seem like in this age of entitlement, that WrestleMania is a birthright or, something these guys are entitled to, when in reality, not everybody used to make the WrestleMania card. So I think this is another one of these matches where we're squeezing everybody onto the show. The Women's Royal Rumble, I know Carmella, she won that, and she's from the New York, New Jersey area too.
I was pretty entertained by it too. I thought she did a really good job.
But once again, last year you talked about previous featured bouts. Last year, the Women's Royal Rumble or Battle Royal, the winner was supposed to get a shot at the Women's Champion. It wasn't until Naomi kind of went to social media about it and ended up getting her shot for the championship.
And she did win the belt, right?
I believe so. I'd have to go back and check that SmackDown, but I can't remember if I do know she got a televised match out of it, but it took her going to Twitter and being like, "Hey, I won a Royal Rumble at WrestleMania last year, and I still haven't been featured in a title match." So hopefully that Carmella's not overlooked if she can get away from that whole 7-second dance.
To pull it out, I think she's one of the better females involved in the Tuesday night mix for sure, and I think that it's kind of writing on the wall that she's got to be propelled into the title picture there.
Well, a lot of people like take digs at Carmella, but I feel like she's kind of got like a Trish Stratus aura about her, where Trish came in as a another pretty face, but she wanted to learn the ropes, learn the business, and she's able to niche out a nice little career for herself. And I see Carmella kind of doing the same thing. Her in-ring work's really come a long way too.
I think that's what they're hoping too for this Lacey Evans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She
needs some work, but
she's legit.
If she gets it, she's gonna be red fucking hot. Now, the next thing they drop on the show is they got a Raw Tag Team Championship match between the Revival coming in holding the belts versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins is on the 237 consecutive loss streak, and it gets snapped. And they're from the New York, New Jersey area as well, I believe. So for that to happen for them was probably super huge. And I feel like the Revival took the L because of the uppercut shenanigans. What do you think?
From over the Hall of Fame weekend, he had a overzealous fan get in the ring and attack Bret Hart, and they kind of went old school on him. And I think, was it Dash Wilder got a good uppercut in?
Oh yeah, he smoked it.
Yeah, you're the one that was telling me about the pops in the crowd every time somebody would do an uppercut, and I really found that funny. And looking back, I do remember a lot of that happening. But was there heat for that? I don't know. I think they wanted to load this WrestleMania with feel-good moments, so there's 7 title changes on the card, right? Revival kind of been, passing the belt around like a hot potato, but once again, you have Hawkins and Ryder getting themselves over. They got their action figure podcast, which, is great, I guess. I like action figures all in all, but apparently, they're doing their own live shows with that. Zack Ryder, once upon a time, got himself over by, Z True Long Island story or whatever that was. Went to the, got himself over.
That's not his first WrestleMania moment, man. He
won the Intercontinental Championship. So, as long as you can keep relevant, squeaky wheel gets the grease. Even on his tights says still here on it. I think that, I think those guys, as long as they keep applying themselves and wanting to, stay in the hunt or stay in the picture, getting themselves over,
Well, I think as the circle comes around, they gotta put the belt back on.
Oh, absolutely. It was a good, feel-good moment, but you don't see it long-lasting. But
right now, they go from some tag team wrestling, which I think is kind of shitty that they diminish, title bouts to the pre-show and have this huge card. Although I love it because I like watching this fucking show. So it's like, okay, cool, wrestling all day, I'm with it, right?
yeah.
But then, as you look at like the way that they're presenting things that are supposed to be prestigious, like there's a non-title contests that are on the main show, and then you have title contests on the pre-show. It almost makes you wonder, like, are they deviating from like the original format that made it believable, or made it seem like it's an actual fight?
I think a lot of times it also goes with pacing of the show. Like you talk about, you got non-title bouts. This WWE's has more championships and different color schemes. I mean, you can make an infinity gauntlet out of all the title and different strap colors they got right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, I think you kind of got to break that up a little bit to where, title match, it kind of burns you out of those feel-good moments. So you kind of interweave some of these other matches that, can get over. Not everybody needs a championship. I think that was evident, later on when we see Randy Orton and AJ Styles. I mean,
right.
Just solid.
Absolutely. Now, solid. It's a good word to describe. The next portion of it, the Andre Battle Royal, is the conclusion of the pre-show, right? They have some pretty cool spots in there. There's a lot of different people in the Battle Royal. Eventual winner, Braun Strowman. No fucking surprise. They run a little gimmick spot with the dudes from Saturday Night Live, and he ends up getting his hands on him, tosses him out, wins the whole thing. I think that was pretty dope, but this is multiple years in a row we see Braun Strowman get played in a fucking comedy role or something like that on the grand stage when you should have him. This should be a blow-off where he crushes somebody, in my opinion.
Yeah, in a lot of ways you see Braun Strowman kind of being featured as an attraction, and I liken it to the early days where you see Big John Studd or Andre the Giant, the first WrestleMania with Big John Studd, or WrestleMania 2, you have the Battle Royal with the NFL guys and all that. That's a special attraction match that you put your biggest guys in. And then the next year you do a body slam match with Big John Studd and Andre the Giant. And then eventually you get to that Hawk and Andre conflict, because realistically, when you book yourself in a corner with a guy like Braun, if you put him in a title match and you're like, all right, here you go, big boy. Now you gotta beat that guy for the championship. So if you go ahead and I think if you cool off on Braun, feature him appropriately, but not, put him on TV every week, you gain more from that than So I don't really mind that they put him in these goofy. Like last year he won a championship with a 10-year-old. This year he's,
Which I think they botched that as well. I think it should have been the little kid, Jarius, that was the award winner for the Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah.
That kid was awesome. They should have put him out there. He would have fucking
because the kid wasn't working.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But he would have been working.
Nicholas didn't take a brogue kick or anything like that.
The little Jarius kid, he would have at least worked the microphone or something, and it would have had more value. But of course, you see Braun Strowman come into the fucking Battle Royal, it's over.
Yeah, it was just
he wins.
It was just a joke that went on too long, in my opinion. It was kind of, get that exposure for the Saturday Night Live guys. I thought the bravery of the one guy wearing a Cleveland Browns Odell Beckham Jr., I thought that was pretty funny. Guy knows how to get heat.
Anybody that listens to the fucking Swanglin Show, they know how much we love the state of Ohio. So it's dope to see them kind of pops.
Especially at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
You won't see that jersey in the Super Bowl.
We need to start the petition to bring WrestleMania to Cleveland.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's what we need. WWE, if you're listening.
It'd be incredible.
Cleveland, Detroit, Pittsburgh, something. Let us get something.
They had it at Ford Field on
20.
What was it? I don't know. Shit, 23. Now we're at. That was 13 years ago. They haven't been up here.
Yeah. So come ahead and make that loop. You know what I'm saying? As we give you this free fucking press because we love you, what you do. You know what I'm saying? So bring it. Set it up now.
Cleveland Transit System could handle
Yes,
it.
absolutely. We could handle NBA championship. We can handle WrestleMania.
Oh, I was at that parade.
Now, to start the show, Alexa Bliss
Now we're on
comes
the main
out
card. Okay.
as the host of WrestleMania 35, which I thought they kind of did a weak job with having a host because you didn't see her that much throughout the show of the entirety of the 7 hours. You didn't see the host that frequently. But she came out with the bang. She brings out the fucking mega legend, Hogan. Red and yellow Hogan. Not black and white Hogan with the spray beard, but the OG. To kick the show off. And I think there's nothing bigger than Hogan, you know?
I like that, again, in this world we live in where accusations and persecutions come before, the full story's laid out. Hulk Hogan, getting back in the good graces of WWE Universe, WWE. I think it's just one of those things where the relationship's on the men. You're not giving up too much Hogan. I thought Alexa Bliss, I think she's showing that she's over. I thought that she did a good... I think when she announced herself as the host, I didn't balk at her or, displeased with her. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, makes sense.
My problem with it was to start the show, she was like, I'm the perfect host for WrestleMania because I can make a WrestleMania moment happen just like that. Snap her fingers. And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking Hulk Hogan. I was thinking she was going to have Brock Lesnar come out and then we were going to kick, because I called that from the start. I knew the first match was going to be Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship, because if Brock wasn't going to go on last, he sure as hell wasn't going to hang around MetLife.
Right.
So again, I thought that would have been well placed. Heyman coming out during the Hogan shtick and interrupting and being like, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, popping off WrestleMania, just being like, we want to get the hell out of here and get to Las Vegas. So let's go ahead and get this over with. And then
I loved it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was a great way to start WrestleMania.
Now, they go into this match.
So now
Rollins,
we're in the match.
Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. They have dude get squashed. 2 minutes, I think the match was 2 minutes long.
Okay.
They have Brock attack Rollins before the match, get his little spots in, slam him around real good, and then throws him back in the ring, and then boom, he just works him. Hits him with the finishing move 3 times in a row. Buries the champ. Do you think that that's the right way to go about Brock Lesnar losing the belt when they've just had him just pretty much just dominate with the belt?
Any wrestling fan, that gets on the internet and reads the dirt sheets and listens to podcasts and everything, and hears Brock Lesnar's, you hear a lot of stories about him. I think the one thing that you can ascertain from all of it, use WrestleMania 34. Yeah, was it 34? Where was the one that was in Texas? 32.
Yeah, I think so.
Whatever
the
one
Cowboy
was
Stadium.
Yeah, whatever one was there when he fought Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose appeared on Steve Austin's podcast and was like, we didn't bring down the house because I was met with laziness when I was trying to get something out of him. I felt like this WrestleMania match was no different. Brock, how many times have we seen him do the jump the start of the match, put him, put the boots to him, give him a finisher, and then, let's go home after you give me 4 of yours. And it's like I said, it was what it was. I'm not.
I think they're in better shape now going forward with having somebody like a quick to the spot worker, or somebody that's more dynamic in the ring with the fucking belt.
Yeah, I liked when Seth Rollins came out on the Raw following WrestleMania and everyone was like full-time champ, because there's a guy that is working. He's had his bout with injuries and kind of has been injury prone. I mean, shit, he came out on Raw with an elbow brace on because Brock Lesnar murked him into that
and I think it's like,
LED board.
if you've been watching wrestling consistently for like the last year, you kind of got to say that's the fucking man.
Yeah,
he deserves to have the belt. He's like the Shawn Michaels of right now.
He puts his nose to the stone every day and gets to work. I mean, you can't take anything away from him.
No, you definitely can't. And congratulations to him on that championship win. Let's see if they don't if they keep it on him for 2 years like they, do the other champions. They probably won't. But the next match that was on the card, no titles involved, but 2 heavyweight big boys in the game. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. I think that this was probably like in the top 2 or 3 matches on the fucking card. Very solid. They have AJ Styles hit the win, but they got a bunch of false finishers with them nearly hitting their finishing moves. Nice old school style sequence. It almost seemed like they was fighting for real.
Yeah, it was a classic, AJ Styles, Randy Orton scouting each other out, feeling each other out, because over the course of the past few weeks, AJ's been hitting a phenomenal forearm on Randy, and Orton's been doing the RKO out of nowhere on AJ Styles. I don't think that either one of these guys were misrepresented at WrestleMania. I don't think they were, degraded to a, non-title match. I think personal feuds always draw. Orton, he always gets a lot of flack because people, people like to hate on the WWE cookie cutter, Randy Orton type match. Right. I think Orton's just head to toe.
He's the man.
He's a perfect representation of what professional wrestling is, and his matches are great. They're clean, they're crisp. He bats 1,000.
Yeah, pretty much every time.
Which is funny because that spot with Seth Rollins when he did the curb stomp RKO, was phenomenal. Orton was hesitant to do that because that was what he told Rollins. He was like, "Look, pal, I bat 1,000, so we ain't gonna do it right. I ain't gonna do it." And then I guess in the middle of that match, Orton was like, "Let's do it." Fucking killed it like he always does. So him and AJ, I knew they were gonna kill it. I saw some pictures that they had some lighting issues that had blinded half the crowd.
Like a golden light or something.
Yeah, I thought that was BS. But yeah, solid outing. It was a perfect. It didn't bring the show down. It was just a perfect break from Rollins winning the championship. Orton, he's a legend.
I just feel like, for me, I know that I'm a big fan of the territory wrestling, right? So I see 2 dudes like that are both really technically sound, and they both sell really well. And it doesn't really matter who fucking wins or loses, because that they come back for another one, and it would be great.
Oh, absolutely.
And I see them too, and I'm like, damn, the star power and the storytelling
those are
capability between them two. That right there has the potential to be a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, those 2 guys, 50-50 booking don't hurt them because,
No, they'll just come back out next week and it will be just as great.
But like you were talking about territory days, Orton is an old pro. AJ's kind of like the last frontier of kind of those guys from the, what the hell do you want to call it? Remember the Indie Cup back in the late 90s?
Yeah,
they had Filthy Youth, or not Filthy Youth, anyway, those guys that came out of that type of stuff, Daniel Bryan, Brian Kendrick, Christopher Daniels, those guys from the early indie scene, California scene, stuff like that. AJ Styles kind of coming from those old indie group, working his way through the down in Tennessee, Florida, wherever, TNA, Dixie Carter promotion. I always thought AJ, no matter what promotion you saw him with, was just he was the fucking man. He really was. So he was always appreciated in professional wrestling. So he was like a journeyman, a traditional.
Yeah.
I love the story about that. Like, hey, I'm a journeyman. I'm doing this. I'm not a rookie. I've been doing this shit as long as you, Orton. It's just my daddy and my granddaddy didn't get me into OVW or get my foot in the door. I've been doing this just as long as you, so let's find it out at WrestleMania on the big stage.
And it was great.
So
and they kicked the angle off in Toledo.
Yeah.
On SmackDown Live, so you gotta love that when you're from Ohio and the shit starts popping.
The best ending to a SmackDown I've seen in probably 15 years was when they had the end of the gauntlet match on SmackDown a few weeks, and Orton just slid in, RKO'd when he came down to the ring. He slid in, RKO'd AJ, pinned him, signature to the show, fucking fade to black, let's get out. And it was just like, fuck.
Just like the good old days.
Yeah. Sometimes
where it makes you wonder, it makes you want to tune in the next week to see. I wonder if he's going to punch him in the face for stealing on him at the end of the show.
Yeah, for sure. Episodic. How's done?
They had a lot of different title matches. Like, pretty much every title was on the line at WrestleMania. They had the Usos defend the tag team titles. One of the few successful title defenses on the show. There was a lot of title changes. They won their 4-way tag match, retained their titles. They were in there, Aleister Black and Ricochet, Sheamus and Cesaro. You know, a whole bunch of like super talented athletes they bundle into one match, right? And I feel like going forward, I want to see the Usos get a bigger match at fucking WrestleMania.
Whoever put that match together, I thought they did a fantastic job. Especially, you know, when you muddy the water with a bunch of people when these multi-people matches, they can fall off the track. I thought, you know, everyone was where they needed to be, perfect time. Aleister Black and Ricochet, for the plate of piss that Vince McMahon has given them, as far as just being like,
you're a tag team now.
you're a tag team, you know, go on in there, you know, do the you know, creepy thing from the candles and get out there with the bippity bop guy. And
The bippity bopping.
And I think for those two guys, with the minutes they get on TV, have overcome and have transcended not only just themselves as a tag team, but like it's really getting them noticed to be featured in their own. Like it's unique because you see the Aleister Black worked NXT Takeover Friday. He worked on Sunday at WrestleMania. He worked Monday. He worked Tuesday. He did every single shot for
And
every
showed
big
out.
show over the course of the WrestleMania weekend. And my hat's off to be able to go out there and not only put on a great match each and every night, but you know, just to hold up and you know, they're putting his feet to the fire. To, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I like that sometimes because they take some of these guys that you know expect. Hey, like Lars Sullivan, for example, he made his debut the night after WrestleMania after months. You know, he had his own issues or whatever.
They made you think it wasn't going to happen. And
Yeah,
it
whatever
happened.
kept him away. They had that old school build up to that. But then there's other times where they'll just toss guys into the fire. Here you go, Ricochet. Here you go, Aleister Black.
Right, it's up to them to
Sink
make
or
it
swim.
into something.
And those
yeah.
guys are fucking swimming, bro. I like them. I like them a lot.
I think it's cool though too because like I've always been a big fan of tag team wrestling, even going back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something about the rules of a tag team match that make it interesting. The way they isolate each other and block the tags off and shit like that. And you saw a lot of that in this match. And I think it's cool that they're serving up the new dudes, right? That they know got the skills, right? But they're giving them the right people to work with. They're getting in that match. They're fucking with the Usos, who I think are one of the best tag teams of all time.
Yeah, those kids have been wrestling since
Of all time.
you
know what I'm saying?
been 9 years old.
But then, at the same token, you got Rusev in there, who's seasoned. You got Nakamura in the match, who's fucking, from a psychological standpoint,
Cesaro,
probably the best in the
Sheamus.
world. Cesaro's probably the best athlete they have.
Cesaro is my next Kofi Kingston.
Do you think he'll get the shot?
He has to. He is. I never understood it. I just feel like there's times in his career, like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that he won, where he yoked up big. Now, it wasn't like Andre getting slammed by Hogan. Andre you know.
Right, but Hogan's a lot bigger.
We won't reveal the magic.
Yeah.
So he yokes up Andre, tears his vertebrae, slams him. Dude, Cesaro deadlifted Big Show. Deadlifted dude.
And tossed.
And tossed his ass. Like, I remember, and held him up there. And then tossed him out. Like,
My favorite
the
moment,
guy's raw, and he was so over that night. And again, he was featured in a tag team with Jack Swagger. And it just, for whatever reason, they're just like, we're not going to saddle you as a single because you're getting over too much all the
Right.
time. Every week, you're just killing it. Let's put you with this, cool you off, or give St. Sheamus something to do. Those guys started off in a feud against each other.
And it was great.
And was tearing it down, and then
Yeah.
they're like, let's throw them a tag.
Best of 7 series.
Yeah. Which they got nothing but a tag. Yeah, because they got a title opportunity,
Yeah.
whoever won, and they gave them both. Yeah, whatever.
General Manager Big Mick Foley throws
Yeah.
it together. I remember this just like it was yesterday. And they've been a great tag team, right? So, I don't feel like right now would probably be like the opportune time for them to give him a title run.
Right.
But like this time next year,
You never know.
he could be the fucking man. Because if
Never
Jinder
know.
Mahal can be the man, Cesaro can definitely be the man.
I like Ginger's run.
I like it too. It was a lot better than what I
It was
expected.
different.
Yeah. Now,
He couldn't work where the piston was like that Punjabi prison thing was just like, what are you doing? Let the guy just have a regular match. They
Yeah.
beat Orton 3 times.
He sure did. I watched one of them live at Hell in a Cell.
Oh,
in
yeah?
Detroit. I was in the building.
Oh, man, at the Little Caesars Arena?
Yeah, at
How
the
was that
Caesars.
live?
It was a great show. Me and my brother Dom were in that bitch, and the best part of the night was not Shane McMahon jumping off the fucking thing or Kevin Owens falling off the steel. That wasn't the best part of the night. The best part of the night of that show was the Usos versus the New Day in the cage.
Yeah, that was a good ass
Fucking
match.
amazing.
You love them Usos.
I saw it
like
in
them a lot,
person, man,
too.
and they sold me for life. Now, talking about being sold for life. Like the NWO. Sold out. Old school pay-per-view. We got the Ohio boy, The Miz, representing Cleveland, versus the Vince McMahon's fucking son, man. They put on a good fucking match. I thought that they made it seem like they were actually fighting each other, which was cool.
They said that was the first last man standing match at WrestleMania in 25 years. You remember what the first one or the last one was or whatever it was?
No.
Or Falls Count Anywhere, that was the match. Last Falls Count Anywhere match was 25 years ago. And this match was Steamboat and Savage compared to that match. It was Savage and Crush.
Oh, yeah.
At WrestleMania 10. They hung Crush up.
Yeah, they
You remember
upgraded.
that? And then he just found out and he was like, "Oh, he's not getting up from that, brother."
Oh,
Just
yeah.
took
They
off.
upgraded.
But yeah, I like the match. Whatever happened to when they used to gimmick like not so much the crash. They've always used crash pad. Okay,
Right.
It's never changed. But now it's so like obvious the way they mask it that it is. I remember back in the day, let these dudes fall on some cables and stuff. Like not tables, cables.
Right.
Like remember when they would like make it
Yeah,
look like
they
there
would-
was equipment set
Yeah,
up
there'd
there.
be a monitor sitting there.
Yeah, like
and some
just-
cords and shit.
Oh, here's a a piece of styrofoam box that has some equipment in it. Anything, gimmick it. You know, it was like they did that spot, and it's like, what's that pit doing there? There's a piece of the set. I thought it was decent. Thought it was a good spot. I liked the match.
I thought it was good too, but I think going forward they got to have something real big popping off for Shane McMahon to have The Miz lose that match. Because I felt like the way that the angle was built was for The Miz to go over.
I think there's never been any love lost between. You just mentioned it, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. They had that Hell in a Cell blow off for their feud. I can kind of see Shane McMahon rounding the corner as that Mr. McMahon character, but in the Shane McMahon version, and then giving him somebody to work off of on the other side. So I mean, I think Shane McMahon, whatever this new, I think it was funny that Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H all came out on Monday Night Raw a few weeks ago and were like, we're going to change everything. No more, bad authority figures and any of that. And then Shane's like, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. And the
Then
second
he turns into the bad guy.
he turns into the bad guy. He's the authority figure again. And it's like, what is going on?
But they said that they were going to give the fans more of what they wanted, and I feel like they delivered on that.
Yeah, that was a good.
Because I feel like ever since that moment, their programming has been leaps and bounds better.
Well,
Even the television programs have been better.
We go back to those 7 title changes on this card. You got a clean slate to work with. You know what I mean? Like that's what it tells me is they're just like, let's wipe it clean. Let's see.
Yeah.
They
So I think
got
there's
the
going to be some
superstar
opportunities.
shakeup coming up.
Yeah.
but-
Speaking of that, I want to see AJ Styles go to Raw. Who do you want to see bounce? In the superstar shakeup, what moves do you want to see be made? I want to see motherfucking Randy Orton go to Raw. I want to see AJ Styles go to Raw. I want to see Brock and Bobby Lashley both go to SmackDown.
I would like to see more play in the factions in a way. Like I didn't get enough of WWE Bullet Club. I like to see Gallows and Anderson and Styles together, or actually feature them
With Finn Balor as well.
With Balor, any of those combinations, Balor and AJ, or Balor and Gallows and Anderson. I mean, whatever you want to do. As soon as this AEW drops, or All Elite, or any of these other factions, Bullet Clubs, all these other things, as soon as they finally treat that as a viable threat. Because again, those Bucks, they sold like 441,000 shirts in 4 months.
Right. These dudes collectively.
They don't understand, and everybody but WWE is capitalizing on factions. And I know it's passe or whatnot, but it works. It's a way to get more guys. It's a way to get more guys featured. I think when you do have some factions and different groups, it makes things interesting. I think even, you know, with the WWE title picture, it's going to be interesting to see what that dynamic within the New Day is. You know, they're all, yeah, Kofi, he's pop. But, you know, Big E, he just went down with a torn meniscus. But, I mean, even in that vein, now you got to figure something else out. But Big E, he's a guy that...
Championship pedigree.
Why should he be in the Why should he be in the shadow? Why are you? I think, you know, the New Day, the WWE universe voiced their opinion, used their voices to get Kofi his rightful, you know, his long overdue spot. Just even the match,
which is the best match on WrestleMania, by the way, in my opinion. In my opinion,
as well, on the prior to Fastlane. Nobody gave a shit about the New Day. I don't think.
Well, I think
it was starting to...
Yeah, starting to fizzle a little bit.
I think it was starting to run its course. Nothing was getting featured with it. And then all of a sudden, you know, Mufasa... Sorry, yeah. you can't mess up that type of stuff these days. But Mustafa Ali going down with an injury breathed new life into that New Day gimmick, that whole thing, because it started it lit a fuse on social media with Big E and Xavier Woods to voice some opinions that they had, and you know, this and that. It all got us to here. Now it's interesting. Is that reignited, or does it fizzle out again? Are people tired? You know, it's gonna be interesting.
We'll see, because he's been working his ass off and he's been putting on some good stuff. Like, I like to watch the story unfold. You know what I mean? And I watch it just as much for the storytelling of the matches and like the drama aspect of it as I do for the athleticism. So I feel like him versus Daniel Bryan was pretty much like the peak of both of them things brought together. And it's like one of them moments that it's like you gotta give him the belt because it's gonna be magic.
Sometimes you find yourself a little too deep into this stuff and overthinking things, and you know, we go back and talk about Kofi Kingston's rise and how he was kind of squashed years ago when he was feuding with Orton. And I just thought it was funny that, like, as you get to now, that gauntlet match with Kofi, the last guy who fought in that match was Randy Orton, the guy that started the stupid, you know, pretty much buried Kofi 10 years ago, stopped that push altogether because of politics. And I don't give a shit what you say. That was why that Kofi was stopped. And then this time around, you know, WWE fans were like, you know what? Give this guy his, you know, he's got unfinished business. So I thought, you know, it was kind of poetic in a way that they booked. I think you have to believe that they did it on purpose. They booked it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Because I even saw Orton in one of the matches call him, you know, pull him by the hair. It's like, stupid. And Orton, you know, Kofi fires back with a comeback and everything. And I was just like, that's good shit. That's little stuff. And people dog on the writing, people dog on the creative all the time. And it's like, little things like that mean a shit ton to actual people that watch the product, invest in these characters. Because that's talent and television. Those are the only two things that matter in this WWE business, in my opinion. And like, you follow a guy like Kofi Kingston, you go for that ride. That's what I love about pro wrestling. A guy like Triple H, guy like Batista, you know, guys who are fucking there now at the top.
Right, they leave everything room to come back to.
Yeah, you follow their story.
Nothing's ever closed, curtains until it ain't over till it's over.
You follow that kid since he was 23 years old, fucking grinding, just like AJ. We all love that motherfucker's here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he grinded. We watched him in front of 200 people. I watched him sign a shitty cell phone that I had, you know, and a permanent marker just because, you know, he was taking time to say what's up to the fans, and it's like, dude, when you gonna be in WWE? When you gonna be, you know, see it come to fruition full circle. I mean, it's always great to be a wrestling fan.
Oh yeah, you mentioned earlier during an off the air conversation that we were having, like something about how it's painful to see a dude that you've been watching for a long time kind of lose a step, right? You watch old school cats like Randy Orton and AJ Styles and shit. These dudes are still solid all the way to the bone. People like Rey Mysterio, solid.
Yeah, they don't.
We've been watching Rey Mysterio for 25 years and loving every minute of it. He comes out on WrestleMania 35 and gets smoked. I mean, straight up smoked. It's almost unbelievable to me that they even put this on. But I'm glad that they did, because if anybody should be
Yeah.
pretty much just immediately bodying people, it should be the nastiest heel they have. And they booked it right. Samoa Joe just dogs out Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, he's kind of been lost in the shuffle for pretty much his entire run in WWE because they don't know quite how to book a killer like him. I mean, you don't send him out, but you also, they put him with Brock Lesnar in the main event a year or so ago.
Great Balls of Fire.
I thought that was a great match, and I
like the build up to it as well.
Yeah, I was like, they're actually featuring Joe like how he should be presented. You've never seen them not take a fat Samoan and put some body paint on him and be like, there you go.
Right. Well, I liked.
Don't talk either. We're gonna have somebody for that. Here's
small,
Armando Estrada.
Although they didn't have him win the championship, his little storyline angle that he had with AJ Styles was fantastic.
That shit was good too. Got personal.
Yeah, he said, I'm
made
your
good
daddy
TV
now.
Yeah.
He crossed the lines of the family.
Well, you talk.
He set it off. He did everything that would make a man want to kill you. He baited and hooked him, old school heel style.
Some of these older wrestling personalities too. I mean, they talk on their podcast a lot about guys trying to get out ahead of the business and get over and get white hot. And they're like, oh, you got to be selfish a little bit or take liberties sometimes. And I think a lot of people misconstrue what that means. And I think Joe does a great job of that, where he does little things like you talked about right there with the, how's Wendy or whatnot. Even he can present that and get away with it and do it, in a way because he has input on his promo and his storyline and stuff. It's like you're starting to see a little bit more of that with the top tier guys, a little more freedom, and it's been way too long coming again.
Well, it's like a lot of people that watch pro wrestling that listen to the Swanglin Show are cats that, like us, who've been watching for 20 years, right? So we know just by watching the history of the wrestling business, and in your case being involved in the wrestling business, that a world championship is a babyface's game. You know what I mean? Your money is, you have a little spot heel championship runs, but it's designed for someone to come in and conquer that mountain, and that's where the money sits. You know what I'm saying? So It's like somebody like Samoa Joe, even though he is pretty much one of the best heels that they have, I feel like he's one of the people that could be capable of having one of those spot world championship runs and actually making it count.
Yeah, historically WWE hasn't done well with heel champions because it's kind of one of those, these slave monsters promote territories as opposed to a lot of mid-Atlantic NWA type promotions where it's all about the chase. Old Motorhead song, the chase is better than the catch, and I've always loved that style of booking. The heels always beat you at the turn, and then finally that moment comes where you win the champion. WWF's always been presented, or WWE, whatever, it's always been presented as monster territory. Hogan slays monsters. Hogan poses after the match. Stone Cold, you set up monsters against him. It's always a feeder system for the champion to get over on the heel. So a guy like Joe, he's a good person to feed to an AJ Styles, but they don't really, that's what I said, short-term booking with these guys now these days where they don't do long programs, you miss out on some of that. AJ Styles and Joe won a few months and had a good payoff, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I felt like they could have, the length that they put into, like the AJ versus Nakamura, they could have did that same length with Samoa Joe, but actually had a title change.
Yeah, that
there and have them go back and forth. I feel like you could carry your company on that for a year.
I felt
easily, in my opinion.
I felt the Nakamura turn last year. I thought that was just the wrong time. I think Nakamura lost something with that.
It was a great WrestleMania moment.
It was a great WrestleMania moment too. It just, again, there's no, when you do this slaying monster booking and stuff, it leaves the heel with nowhere to go all the time. That's why Joe, I think he's been nicely booked in his WWE run, because if he does take a fall, he goes away for a while, learns a new hold, and comes back, and he's just dominant again.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I mean, if you got that going for you, I mean, he fits in nice in that WWE scheme that way.
Well, since we're on the subject of Samoans, very next match on the card, we got another Samoan. Roman Reigns, fresh off the kicking cancer in the testicles, man. First time back on the big show. On the grand stage of them all. Where for the last 5-6 years in a row, he's been in the main event. This year, he's not in the main event. He's banging it out with the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, who's red hot and on fire. That Roman Reigns beat him, which everybody knows that's what's going to happen. But how long do you think it'll be until Drew McIntyre is the world champion?
It's funny you mention that, because I think that's exactly why...
it's coming. You know it's coming.
I think that's exactly why things have kind of played out the way it was. You weren't counting on Roman Reigns to get a clean bill of health, and thankful he's able to move on and carry on his career. But it still wasn't enough to stand in the way of what Drew McIntyre has been building for himself over the past couple months. And I think it's not a matter of if, but when. He's going to have it. The guy is... We talk about Randy Orton being a product of the business and being, what you look for when you build a professional wrestler up from head to toe. Drew McIntyre is no exception to the rule, guys. Cleaned up his diet, stopped dicking off with the other stuff, just trains, minds on wrestling. He has no qualms about calling people out that are not putting in the work. He does it in his promos. He buries people. The dude he's the kind of guy that walks in now and he's like, this is the way it's gonna be. You stand in my way and I'm gonna fucking step over you. And unfortunately they booked Roman to go over on Drew McIntyre, but it didn't affect him any.
No, I don't think so.
Drew McIntyre, he's already been at the bottom to where...
How long do you think it'll be before they put the belt on? You think it'll be in 2019 he'll be the champ?
Oh, absolutely.
I think so too.
He'll definitely be featured in SummerSlam as the challenger or champion.
I'm interested to see how they do that, because I think the shakeup is going to have some title implications as far as SummerSlam is concerned. One or the two, So
if you ask me, I always felt like Raw, in a lot of ways, wasn't a place for talent to go and die. It was a chance for them to be highlighted or featured more in longer matches. And the guys that have been able to actually capture that, I think Drew McIntyre is one of those guys. He's featured on Raw. He kills it. And I tune into Raw for him. I don't think he should go anywhere. I like him.
I think he should definitely stay as well. And you never know. They might do like they did in the past, where they swap the mid-card titles. Where the Intercontinental title
and it's always
shows U.S. title goes back.
It's always cute how they still kind of do the whole, the SmackDown, that's where all the workers go. That's the workhorse show. And all the big guys are on Raw. And it's like, yeah, how much longer are they going to keep trying to do that same formula? But you put on Raw the guys that, can get over because they are huge.
Well, it's all about the comeback,
legit,
man.
Yeah.
It's all about the comeback. The Doctor is back in the house. Thugonomics has returned. John Cena comes out busting freestyles in the mecca of hip-hop in New York. I think that was a classy move.
John Cena, when he was cutting his teeth and being able to do free rhymes and do his own promos with that stuff, I think that was what really endeared him to the audience. And then when he kind of quote unquote sold out, kind of went the kiddie route or whatnot, that's when a lot of fans kind of turned on him. Dr. Thugonomics, I thought that was a good feel good moment for a lot of guys who, come to face it, we're the old school. I mean, we're going out now. You got fans who are making money that grew up with John Cena, Thugonomics, Eddie Guerrero, Chris. I won't say it. Some different guys from that early 2000s era when they were young. And I just sit there and see that be thrown back as a nostalgia act. It's like,
oh shit, we're old.
what? Hulk Hogan for us, John Cena for your brother. You know what I mean?
Well, I love hip hop. I love pro wrestling. So when I see them both mixed together, I fucking get it. That's like a goosebumps moment for me. I feel like when Cena first came out and was doing the freestyle shit back in the day, I was like, man, this is kind of corny. Because he would have moments where he would not be on point with it. Like,
let's talk about that for a second. That's interesting because outside the Gangstas, which they weren't even a hip hop gimmick. They were just two ruthless,
Yes, I love New Jack.
Yeah. Outside of that, there's never really been like a hip hop gimmick portrayed, by black wrestlers or people in that community.
No, they've played the thug role though. They've had him play the thug role, but
yeah,
not
like
a rapper.
think about Public Enemy.
Or R-Truth, I guess. He's a rapper.
Yeah, he's good though. He's good. I think R-Truth's awesome.
I think he's good too.
But you got like Public Enemy. Remember them?
Yeah.
PG-13. Like all these guys that they bring in with these hip hop gimmicks of all too cool. I mean, they weren't really a hip hop gimmick, but they
were hip hop dancing. So technically.
So yeah, I mean that's just John Cena made it work is what I'm getting at. And for him, white meat baby face from Boston, Mass, to, come in, or West Newbury to come in with that gimmick at that time and get it over. That just shows you why he's a legend, why he's drawn the houses, drawn the merch, done what he's done. Is because that gimmick on anybody else would have been the kiss of death.
Well, they even took it to the house with John Cena. You know what I'm saying? They put the album out.
Yeah, he did have an album.
To his credit, it was fire. I feel like
he sold a lot of them too.
If the album came out and it was booty, this WrestleMania moment might not have ever happened. So we gotta give a major shout out to John Cena when it comes to putting an album together. Because I think that right there was the turning point where everybody was like, all right, we can just let this dude do whatever he wants because he's gonna kill it. Because a lot of people that try and transition from other avenues and go into making rap CDs, like you can even say athletes, people like Deion Sanders, Shaq, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson. All these people got records out.
That's true.
And none of them are smackers.
Yeah,
but
true.
you put in John Cena's album and you're like, okay.
That's fucking true.
This dude can actually rhyme. It was dope to see that happen.
Deion Sanders' album, shit.
He did have an album. Macho Man Randy
You talking
Savage
about
had an
fucking
album.
showing your age, and now you are showing your Deion Sanders album. I ain't seen that fucking Ray-Bans on the front cover in a long time.
Deion Sanders was the fucking man, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Prime time, dude.
Now, one of my favorite moments on WrestleMania 35, I gotta talk about it on the Swanglin Show, because the Swangle-Mania episode 12 with special guest, motherfucking Tom Cash is in the house. Spitting game about this WrestleMania that went down. I'm a big time mark for the entrance pop. I love it when a motherfucker does a dope ass entrance at WrestleMania. That's always the shit, right? And at this point up into the show, I'm like, man, that kind of went a little light on the fucking budget here. Nobody really had no crazy intro. And then, okay, here comes Batista. Fireworks City. They got all these fireworks and shit. He gets in the ring, falls down. Major botch spot. Pulled the Shockmaster.
Leave Batista alone.
Busted his ass. He had a good match though. I'm not gonna go in on it because he showed out for not being, not having matches for a long time. He did really well. But Triple H, I knew, because Triple H has always got the crispy entrance at WrestleMania. I knew he was gonna do something dope. Came out on the little buggy like Mad Max style with the fucking 3D video and shit. That was hard.
WWE, you need to up your game in your animation department. Like
when they do the 3D shit.
Yeah, I like that. I like when they throw up the dude's logo or whatnot. I like that. It's like that video. They did 2 video packages with some effects in it, and they were both like booty Nintendo 64 looking ass. Like I think that Triple H video
Duke Nukem looking ass.
Terrible looking. But other than that, the entrance part was sweet as hell. But going into this match, when I first thought about it, I was like, oh shit, this one can fucking stink the joint out. Because Triple H over the past 4 years has had the longest match on WrestleMania.
Right, and he's on the, although he is still in great physical shape, he's on the decline. He's not as quick to the spot as he once was. You know what I'm saying?
But you saw a lot of more drawn out moments in this match that, like I said, when I was looking at it on paper, for some reason when they flashed the promo, I was like, oh shit, this could be fucking terrible. And then Batista slipped up in the ring, and I was like, oh shit. And then they got on with the match, and I tell you what, after it got going, it got good. It was good, man. I enjoyed it
too.
You see why those guys are two fucking pros, because they had that crowd was hot for them.
What do you think about the nose ring spot?
I liked it a lot.
I thought so too.
Called it from a million miles away, where I was like, that referee's gonna like pick it up or throw it down or something like that. Because it was like, they ain't really. Batista ain't gonna take that bump, is he? Where he's gonna rip the nose ring out, and then you see kind of pick the booger at ringside, and the referee's like, oh shit, here's the nose ring.
I thought it was good too, because
it was shot well. Yeah,
it did have the potential to where you're like, okay, the crowd's been sitting there for a long fucking time up at this point. I mean, you got people that got hours of time with their ass in that seat.
This would have normally
killed it.
This normally would have been your regular WrestleMania run times main event. That's why I felt like this match kind of had a main event feeling to it, and I talk about, both those guys, they tell you how to be over, because look at them, they're getting reactions they want.
Yeah.
They're working the crowd. But like you were just saying, I mean, like 3 hours and change in, that's normally when you're expecting your show closer.
Absolutely.
So this match, like I said, I think it kind of fatigued the fans a little bit, but it was great. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Batista, I was the biggest hater on Batista for a long time. And then, the first time he quit after WrestleMania 26, I was like, thank God. I don't want to see that anymore. Then he came back after his little Hollywood stint and got back with Evolution. And them and the Shield, they fucking tore it down.
Yeah, that shit was
I thought his second run back, I thought that shit was awesome. I liked that Batista. Then when he quit again, he just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. Took off. I liked him. I was like, Batista's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then he came out to that, like I said, it was his last match, but he finally found Batista full. Like, he came out with a fucking Escalade entourage out, and
more gimmicked than probably ever before. Right. And it's believable.
He was dope. I liked him. I thought he looked great. Came out fucking over like Rover. Did the honors. Had a good finish. I like the Ric Flair spot. Ric Flair comes around, hands the sledgehammer to Triple H, and Triple H beats him to the punch.
He gets another one of those moments with the sledgehammer. It's happened so many times, but every time it's like,
I never seen him jump in the air with it before. That was some Avengers stuff.
He pulled the sword out of the stone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Hugs Ric Flair. Ric Flair
is the man.
Yeah. Never mind, man. I'm gonna get put on trial here. Your suit, it wasn't fitting right that night, though.
Oh shit! He's calling out the nature boy when it comes to styling and profiling.
I was just saying, his suit was a little off point. It was a little loose on the nape. And I never seen that out of him. So I let it pass this time because the suit was dope. If you look back at it, it was a pretty nice looking suit, but he's kind of.
Well, hopefully he listens and he claps back.
No. They'll be busting on my style.
That'll be good for our city, Tom.
I've had the same pants on since 2008. But fuck, I don't know. I noticed shit like that. I saw his, vest hanging down a little too low. Saw his coat, sleeves hanging a little too low.
We got to move. I can't even let you go in on the nature boy. Now,
come on, player.
Batista takes the L in his final match, right? Against Triple H. Batista takes the L.
I thought you were talking about his fucking coat.
No.
Taking the L for that.
They also have Hall of Fame legend Kurt Angle in his quote-unquote retirement match. They have him take an L to Baron Corbin. Do you think that's the right time, or do you think it'll work and that Kurt Angle will have more matches?
Here's my whole thing on Kurt. He's loyal to a fault. I really feel like the guy, he's so selfless. There's not a selfish bone in him besides when he was, dealing with his own stuff. You can excuse that, but when he came back and made that run with WWE, they never featured him properly. They just always had him kind of doing a match, losing a match here, losing a match there. Like, oh, I can't believe Dolph Ziggler beat him. Like, oh, I can't believe Drew McIntyre beat him. Which I get it. You do the honors on your way out. In this instance, like I said, you get one Hall of Famer or one Olympic gold medalist, and I think he should have been kind of sent off on a high note. I wasn't really bummer that he had to wrestle Baron Corbin. I don't mind Baron Corbin either way. That's whatever.
Me either. And everybody hates on WWE's creative, right? And they say that like they book very short term, right? And they're unsuccessful.
It made sense because Baron Corbin and Kurt Angle, they've been going at it for a long time.
Well, some people seem to believe that like the WWE creative team doesn't really dictate who's over and who isn't, right? But I beg to differ in some aspects because if you look back to just a year ago, right? Baron Corbin was a heel, but people liked him. People enjoyed. He was like the anti-hero heel that would punch you in the mouth. Everybody likes him, right? It took them 2 weeks to make everybody hate Baron Corbin, and it was pretty much instant.
Yeah, he's full-fledged. He's full-fledged with it.
So the way they've booked him has been fantastic. I feel like it's it's like tradition to go out and put somebody over.
Yeah, to put a bow on it.
I think it's a good move. I think it's a classy move by Kurt Angle.
Yeah, to put a bow on it. Like I said, tradition always dictates you go out on your back. And that's why I said loyal to a fault. I got a chance the first time I met Kurt Angle. I went to Survivor Series up in Cleveland. And it was early in the morning, and I was just walking from my hotel, and I saw some wrestlers coming into the parking garage. And it was Kurt Angle. And I'm like, hey, you want to get a picture, So I go up to him, and I'm chatting with him, and the security guard kind of comes around, and he's like, hey, you're holding up traffic, if you want to sign an autograph, take a picture, you got to go around. And he's like, sorry, kid, and drove off. I went around the corner, and I was getting ready to go into Cooperstown, which was across from Jacobs Field, a Progressive at the time. And I was sure as shit, this black Escalade or SUV rolls up, and Kurt Angle was with his family, and Karen at the time or whatnot. He gets out and he fucking takes a picture with me, and all I had on me was a winter sports schedule or my amateur wrestling schedule, and he's like, oh, you wrestle? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, just be the best wrestler you can be, and life will be easy. And signed it off, and took some pictures, and got in, and took off. I was like, God, he didn't have to do any of it. I was just like, that dude's over with me forever. Like,
Absolutely.
I love the guy. And then, so, with that being said, he's always had that track record of just being the guy to, do the right thing. Young guy like Baron Corbin, lots of heat on him, puts him over, goes out on his back. It was the right thing to do. It just wasn't what I wanted to see.
I think in the long term, though, they're gonna run some type of program that in the future, I don't think Baron Corbin's gonna be the bad guy forever.
You don't think Kurt Angle's done in WWE? Or is there something behind the scenes that we don't know about? Because I remember one of Kurt's last matches before he came back to WWE. Here's another thing, Kurt.
When he went on his official indie retirement tour, when everybody thought it was over, he traveled across the world and had several spot
Let's
matches.
even back it up 10 years ago before we get into the pay-per-views and all the other stuff. Kurt Angle, realistically, he's the one that launched the territory days again. He was IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He was TNA World Champion. He was fucking part of the Tag Team Champions. Dude was collecting belts and featuring New Japan, getting these guys noticed, having bangers with Samoa Joe, highest selling, pay-per-views.
Right. AJ
TNA.
Styles.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the dude, realistically, if you look back at it, he started this indie boom.
Yeah, he made a lot of those dudes. He put a lot of them on the map.
To where they start doing it. And then when you go back to his retirement tour, last guy he wrestles, Cody Rhodes. Who's fresh off his WWE run. Those two have a fucking match, form a relationship. You hear them talking on podcasts and stuff, talking about each other, putting their match over and everything. It's like, that relationship never severed.
You never know what could happen with Kurt Angle in the future.
I mean, AEW is right around the corner.
Because he does a pretty good job from just from like an entertainment standpoint as well. He knows a lot about TV formatting and things like that. And he's been around the block.
So here's my thing.
You never know where you could see Kurt Angle in the future.
WWE, do they put a truck of money in this Legends contract for Kurt Angle, keep him paid and out of the ring, or now that he's finished up, is he free to go elsewhere? Does he still want to make it, another buck in wrestling as far as maybe full, he'd be a full-time performer, kind of like in that TNA vein if he went to another promotion, you know what I mean?
Well, I feel like he definitely, although he is has lost a step big time, and you can tell by watching, him, he's not as mobile, you know what I mean? He don't bounce around as much, but he's still, from like a shoot wrestling aspect, one of the greatest to ever fucking do it. So I feel like it's in their best interest to pay him and have him stick around and get with some of them younger guys and work on psychology and
right.
Get some cats to throw away some of their pride a little bit and start clowning themselves like he did to get over. And I'm sure he can bring value to them just as much as he would bring value to anywhere else. So I would say they put the money up.
I just feel like Kurt Angle was always kind of, he's never been, I don't know, he's never just seemed like he's been in the WWE fold as welcome like in the arms as, say, a Rock or Stone Cold or any of these other guys during that Attitude era, post-2000 that, were in that main event ilk at the time. He's just kind of like the outsider, in my opinion.
Well, he is a Hall of Famer, and he is going to go down in history as one of the fucking greatest to ever do it.
No doubt.
So I think it's, shows his respect for the game to try and grab somebody on his way out.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's solid.
Like I said, you can't dwell on it. It was a good move, no matter how you looked at it. It's just,
Well, hopefully
what
we'll
we
see some
want.
more. We'll see some more
Oh,
Kurt
yeah.
Angle. We're on the subject. We're talking about tradition and shit, and like the way they put people over. Something that's got the heavy body tradition is the Intercontinental Championship. It's like the most prestigious fucking belt in the wrestling world. One of the top belts in the world, right? They got the belt flip-flopping back and forth.
It's the only belt I ever wanted.
Yeah, me too. Because
I always
saw,
wanted to be the Intercontinental Champion.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to be the Intercontinental Champion?
Right.
It was the first belt they brought out with different colored straps. So it was like the hot belt back in the day. They always put that belt on the dude that's like the best worker. Back like in the 80s and 90s. It was pretty much the workhorse cat belt.
What was your favorite Intercontinental title?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to rock with the white strap Shawn Michaels. Old school, because that was like...
What they're rocking now?
Yeah.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, I actually like the oval one that they had eventually. I thought that was pretty cool looking, too. They only had it for a little
It was
while.
in the early 2000s,
Yeah,
right?
I thought that was good. The Rock, he was the first one to rock the round one. They did that one. It had a purple strap on it.
I remember Val Venus carried the purple.
Yeah. That belt was dope. But anyway, back to their kind of championship.
They got the belt flip-flopping on TV, building up to this match, Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley, with Leo Rush, who I think is great, and they should probably just kind of let this dude start running on his own. Bobby Lashley's kind of cringe-worthy at times in his matches. You know what I mean? He's not the smoothest and crispest.
Yeah, the manager shouldn't be taking better bumps than the talent.
You know what I'm saying? And not a knock to Bobby Lashley, because I think he can work good matches with some people. But it works in his favor to put him in there with someone smaller like Finn Balor, to have him take the L, lose the belt, and the Demon wins the belt. I think that it was a little too predictable. I feel like from a fan standpoint, even though I'm not a fan of Bobby Lashley, I want to see him win that match.
That match was unique for one reason and one reason only, and that was the finish. Like, I liked the whole... I was wondering, so what's different about the Demon than Finn Balor? Because they really haven't really built that much. You get small samples over here and there, so I guess, you know, Finn Balor, when he takes over this Demon persona, is a different element to him. So the finish, I loved because he powerbombed Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, nobody saw that.
Yeah, I was like, damn, he just powerbombed that big dude, and it was like, you know, summoning the power of the Demon or whatnot. So it wasn't a lackluster finish. I thought it was a smart finish. I liked it. And then he coup de grace, you know, go home 1, 2, 3, and, you know, new Intercontinental Champion, another feel good moment. I don't know what the hell Bobby Lashley's fucking contacts were about, but
yeah, that was kind of crazy.
it was whatever. But yeah, I like, you know, he yoked Big Boy up, power bombed him. It was a different finish.
I think that the Demon persona is pretty cool, but like you said, it kind of comes in waves and like little spots and shit, and you never really know like what separates it. But it reminds me in a way of one of my favorite angles of all time, right? It's in New Japan. Great Muta versus Jushin Liger, right? And Jushin Liger goes Hulk mode in the match, right? And pretty much turns and pulls his mask off, and he's got his face paint like the Great Muta, right? And he unveils this new portion of himself as this new character of Liger, right? Where he's more vicious, he's more aggressive, and you know, he's like heartless motherfucker, and he'll just beat you down. And that's the vibe I want to get out of the Demon. I want to see that separation.
Right, and until they say that or show that, as I said, you're not going to know. You know, like, it's amazing to me that guys that don't even speak the same language as us can translate in a fucking match or in a story or in an angle all that you just said, just because of how you embody it or present it.
Absolutely.
Finn Balor, the Demon, I mean, why was he the Demon? Just because it was WrestleMania? Was he the Demon because he was fighting Bobby Lashley and needed to...
I want to see snap.
But we've already seen Finn Balor beat Bobby Lashley without being the Demon. So what? You know,
Right. I want to see you bite somebody. I want to see you fucking freak out and show a different.
I want to see what
it is that you're doing.
That's what I said. That show of strength. That was kind of one of the only examples. That, okay, I can see the difference between the Demon and Finn Balor.
Who do you think's next for him? Do you think they give Bobby Lashley another shot and keep this angle going, or who do you think that is next in line to get that shot at that belt? Because it seems like they want to put some new people on the table, and like you said, with 7 title changes, it's kind of a clean sweep. Who do you think's next up on the Intercontinental title scene?
Well, barring that Finn Balor doesn't move to SmackDown, I think that match he had with Sami Zayn, I thought that kind of planted some good seeds for how the fans were reacting towards Finn Balor. Sami Zayn makes his return on Monday night, loses the match to Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship, and Sami Zayn cuts the promo afterwards being like, you know, all you guys are toxic, the fans are toxic, you guys think that you know better, and it's like, it's my job to expose you, the fans, for you know, creating this environment. And then you got, you know, white meat babyface Finn Balor, who, again, it gives you a good little program just to jumpstart Sami Zayn back into the picture. I think that's the way I would kind of angle it, pivot that Intercontinental scene.
I think it would be good. I think Sami Zayn makes a good heel, and I think that, like, he's one of them type of dudes that, like, he's kind of got a clean slate in a way to where he's been involved in all types of angles, but there's not one thing.
Yeah,
you're
the
ever
loss,
like that. This is bad, but there's also not one thing that stands out to where you're like, oh, this is the fucking man. This could be that moment for him where he breaks all the way through.
That too, and again, you know, you talk about what you get with wins and losses. Well, that loss and didn't hurt Sami Zayn, even though it was his first night back. It's kind of like a launching pad or that breaking moment for him.
Right, because he can spin his character into
right,
taking
it's
that
like,
out.
look, you know, I gave it my all tonight. and it didn't get me anywhere. And I really think the reason is my heart's not in it, because you guys have created this environment that demands so much and this and that. You know, there's so many different ways you can go with that. To with fans, you know, they're endeared to Finn Balor. You know, you're gonna see the Demon, you know, for a while, unless, you know, that spawns into a bigger part of the angle. So it's good to always have that in the back pocket, but makes sense to, like we talked about, we grew up with the Intercontinental Championship as a workhorse title. Might as well let two workhorses fight over it.
And I think it will cause for some really good TV. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, you know, they don't toss somebody up in the mix that shouldn't be there. I would like to see maybe a guy like Andrade.
Oh, I like him a lot.
I'd like to see him versus Finn Balor have a nice little run. I think that could be good. And I also think that somebody like Drew McIntyre would be solid to fill in that role as well. So we'll see what happens going forward. But on the Swanglin Show, it's all about epic shit on the Swanglin Show. That's why this episode is called SWANGLE-MANIA, because we're all about that main event shit, the top tier, the big dog league when it comes to talking about some wrestling shit, right? So WrestleMania 35, we've ran through the whole card with the exception of one. The big daddy, or the big mama, if you will, this year, I guess you would say. The main event, double championship match, 3-way. Becky Lynch wins the belt. The Raw Championship. Already holds the SmackDown Championship. You know, she's holding both belts up as the motherfucking victorious. Like, she's the queen of the world at this moment at the end of WrestleMania. She beat Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey in the 3-way. What did you think of the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania?
It needed that extra, pardon the pun, but that extra bit of flair to it. I still don't agree about making Asuka look like a plate of piss by taking the belt off of her, but again, if it cements Charlotte Flair's position in the match, has her bring a little bit more oomph to her coming into her side of the angle, so be it. I mean, she came in, walked in as the women's champion. Ronda Rousey came in. I liked all the build up to it. I thought Becky Lynch bodying people on social media is pretty fun to follow. But we talked about it at the beginning of the show. I mean, I think it's just fatigue. I mean, fatigue really set in at this point. You talk about the transit fares and stuff like that, the city busing, you know, being able to handle that, because the show ran long till after midnight. So some of these fans, you know, really didn't get to cherish that moment for Becky Lynch because they were wondering if they were going to be able to get home afterwards. So, I mean, they lost a little bit there. I thought overall the match was phenomenal. Ending was what it was. It was a good ending.
People think it was botched.
I think the referee should have stopped counting and then started over the count, and still it wouldn't have shit the bed because Ronda was in a pinning predicament that she wasn't able to get out of.
I think that they can spin this though and use it to their
You
advantage.
can.
Because that could be her comeback.
Yeah.
You didn't actually beat me.
Yeah, my shoulder was up.
But yeah, they gotta run that video package on TV, and they gotta exploit that. Because I feel like the two of them together, especially, I love Charlotte. I think she's the best women's wrestler probably ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's something about that Becky Lynch and Ronda. They got something. Like, you think they actually hate each other. You get that vibe, like they don't even, like, this might be lightweight real. They might want to actually beat each other up, and I feel like they gotta have a comeback angle for Ronda, and that's it. You didn't actually beat me. So hopefully going forward, we'll see some more of them two squaring off with some title implications. I think that's good for the game.
Yeah, you kind of, again, long-term planning pays off in the end. I really think you unify the winner-take-all championship match. Becky Lynch comes out on top. I think we kind of skipped over the WWE championship match with Kofi and Bryan, but that was a phenomenal match in of itself. See Kofi Kingston put those 11 years in and finally get his just due, win the championship. But then the next night on Raw, you tease a winner-take-all match between Rollins and Kofi, have it interrupted by the Bar, turn into a schmoz and a bullshit tag team match, and now you got a undisputed women's championship, and you got 2 separate men's world championships. You got 2 separate men's tag team championships, and you got 1 set of women's tag championships. So you're telling, that's what I said. Now we're kind of getting into a sticky situation with how we go from here, because now again, you got 2 sets of Raw tag teams, Raw SmackDown tag champions, Universal WWE champion. But then on the women's side, you got 1 set of tag team champions and 1 women's champion.
Now, do you think this is a setup to maybe to expand this kind of evolution and give them their own brand?
You know, I've listened to podcasts in the past and whatnot that have alluded to that, like, SmackDown was supposed to originally conceptualize as a female brand show. I always thought that was interesting. It would make sense to feature the women, have their own show, because there's 1 set of Raw, 1 set of tag titles, 1 women's championship, but then you can feature them both on Raw and SmackDown.
I don't think they have the depth, because it's like, I think the women's wrestling is at its peak. You know what I mean? I don't think it's at its peak. I think it'll get bigger. But as far as like the quality of the work that they have, I feel like they have the best women's division that they've ever had. But I don't think it's big enough to seem competitive amongst 2 shows. So it's like, to me, it almost seems like it makes more sense to have it just be transient, let them bounce up through every show, and it just be 1 solid division like that.
That'd be a really good idea. I mean, you got the network, so you can feature it however you want with a women's show, but I mean, it'll be something. As I said, it'd be interesting to see after the shakeup how they want to do things, because, you know, I thought the way of thinking was that Raw after WrestleMania, it just made too much sense to unify the titles. I was like, remember when ECW was going out and they had Tommy Dreamer drop the belt to Taz, and then they did the whole schmoz with Awesome and all that other stuff. That's kind of how I felt in this situation. Is again, it's now, okay, now we got 2 sets of world titles, 1 women's champion. Now what are we gonna do with all this? Like, the women from both Raw and SmackDown, can they challenge for the world title, or can you go from SmackDown challenge for the Universal title? Like, what's the rules in it?
Yeah, we want to see the way that this plays out. Now, for me, WrestleMania is all about that moment. You know what I'm saying? There's always these little spot moments throughout the show. But I'm watching it also to watch, the matches. Of course, you want to see the body of the work that they're doing. But there's always some little spots that, lift the fucking show. And you're like, oh shit, they'll put some nostalgia move, or, they try and bring that production value to make it seem like it's the biggest fucking show in the world, right? I felt like going into this WrestleMania, they didn't have enough build-up as far as like a lot of the angles. I feel like there could have been more storyline investment to have such a big card. It seemed like the tag team championship matches, all 3 of them were kind of just tossed together, which we didn't really mention much about the women's tag team title match, the Iconics winning the belts, which is dope. They're really cool. But I feel like, hopefully next year they have some more longer term stories that lead into the show. What was your favorite match of the show now that we've recapped the whole thing? What is the highlight moment for you of WrestleMania 35? SWANGLE-MANIA.
Really enjoyed a WWE title match with Kofi and Daniel Bryan. Kofi's feel-good moment. I mean, it really was a WrestleMania moment for a guy that, behind the scenes, on camera, has just really been putting in the work and finally getting that payoff. Sometimes, like we talk about these launching pads, I always like my WrestleMania to kind of be a finale of everything.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl. It's like the end of the season.
Yeah, then you start fresh. This kind of was that in a way, but then, like we talked about the very main event, there wasn't a decisive, whatever happened. It wasn't a decisive finish, and that to me kind of left an empty void in the women's scene to me. I don't know. It just was weird. I liked Becky Lynch's moment a lot, but like I said, just some of it didn't make sense. It was all for the moment, but there wasn't anything for afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to agree with you. My favorite moment on the show as well as the Kofi moment, and I believe they had the best match on the card.
Because my problem with the whole title thing one more time is, Seth Rollins comes out the next night. If they were to do the winner take all that night, then that Universal Championship win for Seth Rollins
means nothing.
It meant nothing. That's all. That's all I'm getting at. Is you just gotta have a plan for the night after, or long term planning. I think they worked themselves into this situation where they had to put the women on last. Not saying they weren't deserving of it, is because they put in the work, earned their spot in the main event, and now WWE was like, well shit, now we booked ourselves in the corners, where do we go from here? That's all it was. And what did they do? Introduce Lacey Evans the next night against Becky Lynch. And okay.
Yeah, nobody really saw that coming.
No follow up.
So we're all kind of up in arms. But if you're listening to the Swanglin Show, Swanglemania, we want you to hit us up. Let us know what are your favorite WrestleMania moments, not just from 35, but from all of them. We just did a dope ass recap. We're gonna keep coming back and probably revisiting maybe some old wrestling shows. We're gonna keep you up to date on what's popping in the wrestling scene, not just from WWE, but on some independent shit as well. So this is our first time doing the Swanglemania. So maybe next year when we do, WrestleMania 36 is popping off Tampa Bay, Florida, with their little Buccaneer logo. I'm calling it now. Watch for the little Kairi Sane, the pirate gimmick. She's gonna have her moment next year at the Pirate WrestleMania. That's my prediction.
Bring ship in.
Absolutely, they're gonna do something fucking wild. Jack Sparrow and her in the middle of the field. But you've been listening to the motherfucking Swanglin Show. And like I said, this week, P is for Powerbomb. So next time you see somebody you dislike, that's what you got to do. Because it's a wrap.
I know you feel me. Hey, swing. That's our shit. I'm dangling like a broken arm. I got no regard, like I'm famous. I stay stankin' like an open jar. Candy kush for my sweet tooth. Optimal is my shell of preference. We make a waves.